Sales talk number 3. I want to just start today, sales talk 3, with laughing. Ha ha ha, hee hee hee, ha ha, hee hee hee, ha. Laughing. Hee haw, hee haw, hee haw. Laughing is part of the joy diet. There are like 10 steps to the joy diet. You're supposed to laugh 30 times a day. That's from a self-help book by Martha Beck. I feel like I might have to pay her since I've mentioned her name and her process, because this is a commercial venture I'm doing. I'm using the process of self-integrity to promote my art sales. The idea of integrity is also from her writing. It's from her too. She has a book following the Divine Comedy of Dante. To reach personal integrity, you use Dante. I like anything that mentions Dante, the Inferno, Purgatory, Paradiso. Dante is being led by Virgil, who was a poet, a Roman poet, the greatest era. He wrote the Aeneid about Rome, the most bloody, bloodthirsty rendering on war. There used to be a time really not so long ago when a person, when they were educated, learned Latin. Then I'm thinking I could fall back on my memory of the bloody Aeneid in Latin. Then I'm remembering that women weren't educated. Virginia Woolf talks about how she was not really allowed to on the lawn of the famous school. I don't remember which one, Oxford or Cambridge, or in the famous libraries or the eating clubs of either of those schools, and they were all reserved for men. It's kind of interesting, when I was listening to the self-help book by Martha Beck, she said she was a lesbian. I didn't really have the feeling from her writing that she was a lesbian. I feel like it's the same with me, so I want to say something strange. It's a realization I had about myself since I've been on the joy diet and been pursuing a life of integrity. I seem to I seem to have become a very small amount more introspective. I realize that I don't treat men and women the same. I haven't been raised like that. I was supposed to be fair, to treat all people in the same, and probably, if possible, to give deference to men. I realize that I'm not very kind to the male species. I'm really most likely downright cruel and prejudiced. If a collector had come into my house and was female, I would serve champagne. As a sales being, I have to even out my treatment of people. Being entirely truthful on the situation, since I have now gone into some personality insight, I have to admit that there are exceptions to my attitude to men. The exception is the alpha male. I'm enamored with the alpha male. I feel like I could never attract an alpha male because basically I'm a dog. I know I have to embrace who I am, but it's pretty irritating to know if I wasn't so doggish, if I had a great body, or at least a great personality, I could have a dream alpha. I feel like what I've been saying could be offensive to my chosen people, the lesbians. So I want to add some laughing here. The hee is a Gertrude Steinian trick. In her poem, Portrait of Picasso, she writes something like, Napoleon, he. Like Picasso was short and funny kind of men, like Picasso and Napoleon. He, Picasso, was a penultimate alpha male, being photographed in saggy white Fruit of the Loom underwear. I don't like saying negative things about Picasso because, first of all, his paintings, prints, sculptures are awesome. He was friends with Alice B. Toklas, who no one liked. She was a partner of Gertrude, and even Gertrude wrote about Alice, how ugly she was. Picasso loved Alice, and he gave her several drawings that she sold and lived off of after Gertrude Stein died, and the Steins came and took all of the famous paintings collected by Gertrude and Alice away. Times are different. There are marriage rights now for gays. Genevieve doesn't want to be married, but she said I need to write out that when I pass, that my brothers can't come and throw me and all my art, all my old art and new art, in the trash and burn it. In some cultures, that's spiritual, but this wouldn't be spiritual for them. They may not even wait until I am totally dead. Maybe they didn't like my bad personality growing up, or it's possible they don't like my being a homosexual. I guess I didn't like it either for a long time. I remember in graduate school I was depressed because I couldn't ever graduate. I just kept taking more and more ceramic classes. I wasn't finishing my thesis. It was on Picasso's ceramics. I felt like I had to make a lot of ceramics just like he did. I was thinking I guess I needed some psychological help, that it could help. My dad paid for it, which is surprising since he hated psychiatry and never wanted to pay for any family medical intervention. My dad was a research doctor. He despised medical doctors. So I went to the psychiatrist who seemed to know my dad, and he disliked him. I had a bad start with the psychiatrist because I kept crying. When I first went to the psychiatrist, he wanted to have me committed because of the crime, so I instantly shut up with that. The crime could get you committed. Like, what the fuck? I said, what have you written in your book about me? I guess I was a little paranoid. He wrote non-committal. He looked a lot like my dad, a shiny balding head with long thin greasy hair brushed over it to cover the balding. When I was younger, my dad was very fat, close to 300 pounds. No, that could be too large, like 250. He wore very large, like seersucker brown suits, brown belt and brown shoes. He always wore a suit and tie in the house and on the weekends, all the time. I didn't tell the psychiatrist all that. I talked about my daily life, my considering to drop out of graduate school, and that I was attracted to a female graduate student. He blurted out, "Susan, you are gay." And I was literally irritated. I felt like just because I said I was attracted to a woman that I was gay. I mean, I thought that's like labeling. I really pretty much chewed him out. I remember his gestures of scratching and pulling up his socks were deeply irritating. He said I was the type of person, if one little thing went wrong, I went ballistic. Like I was a kind of Mrs. Dalloway. Let's laugh again now. I'm not coming up with any punchlines. Anyway, I didn't like being told I was a lesbian even though it was true. The integrity lets me see that now. Okay, I need to get to the selling part of the art. This is a sales talk, and I'm selling myself to sell the work. This might not even be funny. It's so desperate. Okay, desperate is the wrong word. I mean inspired. I'm inspired to do this. It's going to be great. Whenever I mention a painting or drawing or person, Genevieve, who is editing these videos, is going to drop in some B-roll. Genevieve is an awesome video artist. We worked together a long time. I like to write scripts. We sometimes write even together, then shoot the pieces. After my parents passed, we wrote Ulysses. I was Ulysses. She shot it in the big house. After I lost the house, we couldn't look at the footage or finish the piece. It was one of our best scripts with the dog person and Dolores Claiborne, the past life regressive person. We were supposed to play all the characters. We changed. Genevieve, she became Ulysses. There's also an alien and a part about Bessie Smith and her death on Highway 61. Now that I think about it, I realize it is very creepy. It's science fiction. Genevieve wrote part 1 and I wrote part 2. I guess in terms of artwork to sell, I could mention my photography. I had the curator of Noma Photography look at my photos. He picked out 5 or 8 to go to the museum collection. They were to be bought by my main collector, who said he bought them, but he actually never did. I was charging $100 a piece. I thought that was reasonable since the pieces had to be good. They've been chosen for the museum collection. I usually sold my prints for $25 and sometimes $10. I have a lot of prints and photos of pumping stations in New Orleans. I did an entire project on the pumping stations to get into the anniversary of Katrina's show. I made a large ceramic piece that was supposed to look like a butt plug with maps of pumping stations on it. There were 27 pumping stations in New Orleans. Genevieve did the drawings of the maps for me. I put the butt plugs in location of the pumping stations and took photos. This is a case where I had the curator of the show visit me, so I felt like I had a good chance of getting in the Community Arts Center show with all this. I was really trying for something ambitious, even though the final piece was a kind of documentary photography. I guess that's not really that appealing. I didn't get in the show. The butt plug was pretty derivative of Paul McCarthy, who had just put up his huge green butt plug in Paris in Verlaine Square that he called Tree. It's an elegant shopping area in Paris, and the tree looked exactly like a huge anal butt plug sex toy. My butt plugs were trying to point a finger at the man-made disaster of Katrina and the failure of the ancient pumps. Oh well. Thank you.